executive boards in their makeup. So who sits on these powerful boards? You guessed it, mostly men. Stephanie Lydon reports on a local effort to get more women in the mix.
What about my other team? Are we all set?
To get a sense of how much has changed here at the Boston offices of Deloitte, consider a photo the boss keeps in her office.
This picture was taken in 1990.
That's when Susan Esper started working here, at a time when all the partners were men. Today, the picture has changed. Esper is a partner, part of a generation of women who have climbed the corporate ranks. Women hold more than half of management jobs, but are barely represented in the place that matters most, corporate boardrooms. Only about 20% of top corporate board seats are filled by women nationally and here at home.
The top 100 public companies in Massachusetts have 19% of their board seats filled by women. We still have 17 of those 100 companies that have no women, not one, on their boards.
Which is why Esper is spearheading this program.
How do we best equip and prepare our high talent senior executive women?
It's designed to help senior female executives in Boston position themselves for board openings. Among the participants, Christina Laconi, a veteran of 5 startups.
One of the things that we've actually learned is how do boards end up getting made up. And, a lot of it's who you know and the networks that you keep. But I think the more you ask, the more you'll have the opportunity to get.
Do women have to ask more, though? Because,
probably, yes.
And that's the real problem, says business consultant Patty Fletcher.
We have to stop trying to fix women and instead look at the system that got us here in the first place.
Fletcher says women with the skills and experience required for corporate boards don't need training. They need people in power, usually men, to advocate on their behalf. Real change, she says, will only happen when putting women on boards becomes a priority. And she suggests an incentive. Money.
How about that executive search firm is also held accountable for bringing in women candidates? That board is then rewarded financially for appointing female candidates. It's a start.
In an effort to get more women at the table.
I'm the mother of 2 teenage daughters. When my daughter was born in 1997, if you would have asked me if we would still be talking about these issues, I would have said, oh, we'll be all over this by then. And I realize now that we're still talking about it.
Stephanie Lydon joins me now. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, Jim.
So are there signs of progress, real signs of progress, or no?
Yeah, if you look at the Boston Club numbers, which we kind of mentioned in this story, from 2016, there were about 19% of the top 100 companies in Boston, 19% of the board seats were filled by women. That's compared to 10 years ago when it was 11%. So slow progress, but some progress.
So let me do the math for you. If it goes from 11 to 19 in 10 years, let me just do the quick math.
This is impressive.
That means by 2056, there'll be 50-50 representations. All we have to do is wait
just
40 years.
Hang in there.
So why is it so slow in your estimation?
Well, the folks I talk a lot about unconscious bias, which, just like it sounds, is something we all have, and maybe it's not intentional, but, the desire to be around people who are similar, maybe we went to school with, and just have a bond with.
Well, and who we share the same gender with. I think Patty, in your story, she was here a couple of weeks ago, is totally right. It's not about training. It's an all-male club where they don't want people who aren't like them in. I mean, is that not? So how do you convince them that they should open their doors?
What is frustrating for people who have been following this, like Patty, like Susan Esper over at Deloitte, is that there is research. It has been out there for years. It is global, that says when you have a diverse board, gender, we're talking about this particular instance, but also diverse in terms of racial makeup, the companies do better.
Bottom line better?
Bottom line better. And so that's the real frustration, I think, for people who are working to diversify boards. And in terms of women, when there's 3 or more women on the board, that's when you really see the difference.
I mean, that's the critical mass.
That's the critical mass, and often you'll see one woman on the board.
Great story. Glad you did. Stephanie Lydon, good to see you.